to talk to us on tokenizing Nigeria's real estate. If you look across the skylines of Nigeria, you see that Nigeria is fast becoming an entire building site. Real estate is burgeoning. Everyone is going into it. And I mean, why shouldn't we take advantage of the blockchain technology in the real estate space? So to talk to us on tokenizing Nigeria's real estate on the blockchain is the CEO of RedSwan. He has flown all the way from the United States of America just so that he can be with us and communicate these details to us. Please put your hands very resoundingly for the gentleman, Chief Edward Nwokedi. Keep the applause going until he takes the mic, please.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Good morning. My name's Edward Nwokedi, and I flew here from Houston, Texas, and I'm very excited to be here. I want to give you a little bit of background of who I am before I start, because this is not just a regular event for me. This is a very important event because for a long time I've been coming back to Nigeria, doing my family business, and trying to figure out a way to bring value to this country as a son of the soil. And so it's just by happenstance, or by God, I would say, that I'm here today to talk to you about blockchain and about the many aspects that you can involve yourself in with blockchain technology. It's a big word. It's also a huge avenue of opportunities because it's a new window of business. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I've been doing business in the United States for a very long time. I've had 4 businesses, very successful. And I'm just going to tell you how I found about blockchain, because it's not something that I read about. I'm not in computer science. I didn't study engineering. I studied accountancy and finance. But I had a business partner of mine that was with me in 2000 when I was founding a technology company that was a .com company. He calls me in 2018, I think it was January of 2018. He says, "Ed, you have to go to this conference in Dallas." And I said, "What kind of conference in Dallas?" He says, "The blockchain conference." And I told him that I don't have time for this. I'm very busy right now. I don't know anything about blockchain, and this is not on my agenda, but thank you. Well, we were very successful in the business together, so he knows my personality, he knows who I am, and I also trust his judgment. He says, "You need to get on a plane and go to this conference and check it out because I think you're going to really appreciate it." So with that kind of endorsement, I jumped on a plane and flew to Dallas and visited this blockchain conference. And I was amazed by, first of all, the number of people that turned out and how many of the people were young people like I'm seeing right here today. And I felt a little bit out of place because I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was going to be all about Bitcoin. But lo and behold, as I was starting to talk to people and start walking around the exhibition hall, I was asking a lot of questions because I figured I'm there for a reason. I'm there to learn something. There's some reason why my associate asked me to come. And so I'm looking at some of the different levels of technology that people are using blockchain for in different applications. And I became very intrigued by what the blockchain actually does in terms of the digital ledger. And right away, my brain just went to my core business, which is finance and capital markets. And so immediately I thought, this is kind of interesting. And if this is real, this would be a very, very unique way to solve a huge problem for commercial real estate. I went away puzzled, thinking that sometime I might want to put more time into this. But it was at that same conference, I met 2 gentlemen. There was one was an executive with Disney, and another one was a Cambridge PhD graduate in technology. And they saw me talking to somebody about commercial real estate and blockchain, and they stopped and asked me if I was in commercial real estate, and I told them yes, I was. And all of a sudden, we started talking about blockchain technology and commercial real estate, And we decided to get together for dinner, and a partnership emerged just that quickly. I still wasn't 100% all in for blockchain, but I thought it would be good to start a small business with these two gentlemen, being how they're so smart in technology, and they appreciated my intelligence in commercial real estate. But then 2 months later, the SEC in the United States, that's the Security Exchange Commission that governs all the stocks transactions in the country, made a ruling that all the ICO, the initial coin offerings, and that were going on in the country at the time will be banned from the United States. Sound familiar? And so they also came out and said that as a remedy, they were going to legalize security token offerings, STOs. And that was the light bulb moment for me that said, so the government sees this as a way to enhance business in terms of trading of shares of stock, but now on any asset that is actually an investment asset. And without any additional time or notice, I just put in my resignation at my company, and it was not like I left just a small company. I was the executive director for capital markets for Cushman & Wakefield of Texas. Cushman & Wakefield is one of the largest commercial real estate and advisory companies in the world, and I ran the book of business for Texas for capital markets. And with that responsibility, we've done over $3 billion worth of transactions, and have made a lot of my clients very, very wealthy buying and selling and advising on real estate. Anyway, I'm just telling you this because sometimes you look at things and you look at it and you're uncomfortable with what you're thinking, that it might be complicated, it might require a lot of engineering, technology, but really it was simple for me. I saw something new happening with technology, and I also knew where I was with commercial real estate, and it was the future in bright lights. I jumped out and founded founded RedSwanCRE because I wanted to create a solution for capital markets that will really enhance one of the biggest problems in the industry. So with that, I'm going to walk through my presentation. Well, we didn't worry about that. We jumped in and started focusing on solving problems for our customers and collecting clients who actually wanted to believe in the technology that we're offering. We were talking Greek to all of them. They had no idea of what we were talking about when we mentioned blockchain. And these are people that own, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate in the United States. But they believed in the person that was giving them a solution and said, hey, if you think you can do this, go ahead. So we were able to put together, over a period of a year and a half, approximately $2.6 billion worth of properties that we were able to tokenize and put on the blockchain. That's roughly $910 million worth of digital security tokens that are now being issued for sale to investors. I think Red Swan is probably the largest in the world right now doing what we're doing, but I don't feel like we've just only begun. We're at the very base of the industry. We're trying to become, to have $300-400 billion worth of business over the next 24 months. And I think it's very possible based on, again, big problem that exists today and the solution that we're trying to provide. Next slide. I have to give a lot of credit to my team because it was my two co-founders that actually brought this idea to my head, but also the management team that we have right now with their balanced skill set in marketing, in digital rights, in blockchain technology, and commercial real estate really helped us to be where we are today in terms of one of the industry leaders. I also have to talk to and recognize our support staff and operations as well. We've grown quite a bit, but we're still not even severely funded. My first transaction that I funded was actually $95 million, which I'll talk about that later, but this time around, we didn't go the VC route. We went the bootstrap route, which is a little bit different, and I won't explain it right now, but sometimes you have to take money that is good for your business, not money that's good for somebody else. When we started, we hustled. Our team has done a great job. We also, next slide, we also hired a new capital markets team recently that's going out and knocking on doors and getting building owners to bring us new business. I'm going to talk about our pipeline of almost another $1 billion for the business coming on in the next three months. But it's because of these people that we are doing what we're doing today. Next slide. Also, it takes a village to make things work, and so it's not just the people, but also companies, people that have significant interest and knowledge that can help you. We leaned on a lot of major corporations that were offering to help us as our partners. And so you can see Polymath, Microsoft, Ernst & Young, these are all advisors that give us ideas on how we can expand our business. Tax advice. Coinbase has made it possible for us to be able to accept any kind of currency in the world, whether it be cryptocurrency or fiat dollars. We can exchange it through Coinbase and apply it to our accounts to satisfy the purchase of commercial real estate. Okay, so what is tokenization? It's basically when you take a physical, durable, hard asset and you now authenticate the ownership of that asset and then digitize it to put it on the blockchain in fractional units is what tokenization is all about. You can pick the number of units you want to choose from, whether it be 10, 100, or 300 million. It's up to the tokenizer to make that decision based on the application. So basically, you can tokenize art. As you know, there are NFTs out there. You can tokenize classic cars. You can tokenize real estate. You can tokenize corporations and stock certificates of corporations. What I'm going to talk about is the focus of tokenizing real estate, commercial real estate, as an investment opportunity, not as an NFT. NFTs are, in the United States at least, are not considered securities. They're considered NFTs, which are just digital assets. There are many benefits to tokenization. There's speed. There's the ability to be able to be more transparent in the way you do business. Also, it's actually more global because, like you can see, there's cryptocurrency all over the world, and they're all using blockchain. So it's actually making the world a much smaller place to do business. Also compliance. We followed the guidelines of the SEC, which made us more compliant. We had to become what we call a RIA, registered investment advisor, so we can be able to sell securities to United States citizens, as well as sell securities to foreign investors under what we call Reg S. So these benefits of tokenization, I think, enhance the values of assets. One person came to me and asked me, if I took a diamond and I broke it, and first of all, before breaking it, I put it on the blockchain and made an NFT out of it, and then I cracked the diamond into several pieces and and gave the pieces to different people, would that value of the diamond as one still be the same as I put on the blockchain? I had to tell them, no, that won't be the case, because it's the asset that you are putting on the blockchain, and that value of that asset is what you're actually underlining as a token. So the next slide will kind of show you kind of a pictorial of what this actually means. You see an Apple share of Apple stock, and basically converting a share of Apple stock and all the rights and privileges that Apple stock has to offer get programmed into a single digital token, a smart contract token, that will now be able to represent the value of the Apple stock. So we do the same thing as it relates to commercial real estate. You take a piece of real estate, this building, for example, has an entity that owns it and is registered in the state of Lagos as the owner of this entity, whatever corporation owns this entity. And you can now take their stock and digitize their stock, just like we're doing the Apple share here, and now digitize it into the number of shares that can be distributed to people to invest in, to raise capital. You've all heard of crowdfunding, and really that is the premise behind tokenization for capital markets, is crowdfunding smaller investors into an asset as an investment. Crowdfunding started in the U.S. Back in 2012 with the Jobs Act, and now it's estimated that crowdfunding is bringing in about $11 billion worth of activity. Crowdfunding is very important because it allows smaller investors to be able to choose how they can invest their own budget into an investment as opposed to having something that's just too large for them and they can't participate and they get left out. So that has been very, very prominent recently in the past 5 or 6 years. As I'm selling commercial real estate, I'm seeing more crowdfunding come in, beating out firms like Cushman & Wakefield where I worked in terms of raising capital, because they have numerous people coming in who want to buy smaller shares, and all of a sudden it becomes significant. And we're starting to see 5 million, 10 million, 25 million, all from people crowding into an investment. That's why I see this as a huge opportunity for Nigeria and West Africa in general, because a population of 210 million people, you can seriously do a lot of crowdfunding and take over a lot of assets in this country, if not this whole region. Blockchain actually adds a additional benefit to that crowdfunding activity. Blockchain actually allows you now to be able to trade on those shares. It now becomes liquid, just like a stock. So before crowdfunding, you can become part of the limited partnership, but your share is stuck in that limited partnership until it's sold. You can't sell out. Only person that could possibly buy you out is the sponsor of that project, and that might come with a steep price. But now, because it's blockchain and because it's digitized, you can carry your share ownership in your own personal wallet, your digital wallet, and you can transfer it peer-to-peer, or you can transfer it onto an exchange, but you can get liquidity for it 24/7. Next slide. No, next slide. The other next slide. Okay, about me. I think I've talked about myself a little bit, but basically I also own real estate in the United States, and I also own and manage real estate here in Nigeria. But I really look forward to this opportunity because coming here, we're launching our current website for RedSwan Nigeria, and we're also opening our office in Lagos as well, to show you that we're very committed to blockchain and tokenization in Nigeria. I figure if I can do it in the United States, I might as well do it in my home country. So that's why we're here, and that's why I'm excited about getting this lifted in Nigeria. Hope you will join us and help us in this activity. Next slide. As I mentioned, $75 trillion industry. That's all commercial real estate, which also includes farmland. We see about 35% of that $75 trillion of capital, of equity, is locked in real estate, meaning that it's just sitting there. Can't be pulled out. You can't be refinanced. It's just sitting there as probably the worst form of worst use of capital is just having capital sitting there doing nothing. Like money sitting under your bed doing nothing is the worst form of capital you can possibly have. Money and capital should always be working for you so you can further enhance your goals and your wealth. So having almost $23 trillion of capital sitting around doing nothing, I felt was a huge problem that needed to be solved. And that's why we took to blockchain. Next slide. As I said, the friction talks about the 35+% of equity trapped. I'm sure here in Nigeria you probably have even higher levels of equity because you probably have less levels of LTV on financing real estate. But in general, 35% is what we're seeing trapped in equity. And these sponsors are not happy with that because they would like to actually pull that money out and use it for other means. They can either take that money and buy more real estate, or take the money and pay off the debt, or take that kind of capital and make improvements on the property to make it, enhance it to make more revenue. Also, the holding periods on real estate is extremely long. It's 5 years, 10 years, sometimes 15 years that you're waiting to get your money out of a piece of real estate. And that a lot of times, is not good for the sponsor because typically sponsors make their money when they return the capital back to their investors, and now they split the profit with their investors after a certain hurdle rate, which is basically a certain yield return they're going to guarantee their investor. After they hit that, they now split that profit with their investors 50-50 or 60-40, but that's where the developers and the property owners really make their money, is when they get to that level of exit. So waiting so a long period of time to be able to do that is not very comfortable for them. It forces them to dispose of the asset much faster because they want to get to that payday. But if you think about it, if you sold a property 15 years ago, even here in Nigeria or anywhere in the world, and you look at the same property right now, if it's being managed properly, it's probably worth a lot more than it was when you sold it. I've sold properties for customers in Houston that were $26,000 a door, and today they're selling for $120,000 a door, and that's just going fast forward 12 years. That's a huge difference in price and value. And so selling out 15 years ago, you leave a lot of money on the table. With blockchain, we're proposing that the new solution is not to sell out, is to recapitalize, pull your equity out of the asset so you have more capital and you can continue managing that asset with less equity inside of it. So the solutions, we're providing greater liquidity so they can actually pull their money out, like we said. We're also making it so that the LP investors who are putting their hard-earned capital into real estate investments aren't trapped for a long period of time. They can actually pull their money out and say, look, I've been in it for a year, I'm getting married, I need some money. They can pull their money out and they can sell it and get liquidity. So that's very important. Also, like I said, reduces the need to actually sell the asset, which is also very important. And I think it produces much stronger yields for the general partner of these properties. And I'll give you an example in a few minutes. But I think one of the most important things, I'm always looking for the underdogs. I'm always looking for the small people who are getting into real estate, trying to make money, that being able to decentralize your investment portfolio according to what you want is more important than taking the risk of putting a lot of money. You might save up $100,000 and give it to a fund or a REIT and say, hey, put it in there. I see you guys are making 9% or 15%. Put my money there and make 15% for me too. That's the old way of doing business, right? That means that person is taking your money, they're probably making 25, 30% and giving you 9%, right? The new way is that you put the money into the investment you feel are comfortable for what you like and what you can pay attention to, because you make more money when you focus on your investment rather than when you ignore it. Next slide. So this is an example, and this is basically taking a commercial real estate asset like I normally sell, like this hotel. This can be an example. Say this hotel is worth $500 million. And the equity in the hotel, when you take off the financing with the bank, is roughly $175 million. Typically, when they sell, that's what they're looking for. They want to get $175 million. They want to pay back the capital that their investors gave them, and they're going to split the profits. First of all, give the investor what they told them they're going to give them, 9%, whatever that's going to be, and they're going to split the profits that are above 9% between themselves and the GP, LP and GP. That's traditionally how all real estate transactions work. But if you take blockchain and what we're doing with tokenizing the asset, we've set a minimum price of entry of $5,000. We can take 90% of that $175 million worth of equity and allow crowdfunding to participate to generate that kind of equity. What that does, it allows the GP, owner of the property, to stay in with 10%, continue managing the property like they do because they understand it and they've done a good job, and also be able to generate profits not from a sale, but like I said, from continued dividend distribution. So rather than selling the property and splitting the profits, they can pull their equity out, go buy other assets, but now they have these new investors coming in who are looking for an average yield of 7%, for example. That is their hurdle rate. And so now the general partner has 10% equity in this building. They have $58 million in their pocket, and they're continuing to operate the building. Well, if you're doing a good job, the NOI is going to continue to grow year after year. So if 7% is your hurdle rate you have to pay your investors, and you're continuously improving the asset and increasing the bottom line, pretty soon your dividend distribution will be more like 15 to 20%. That means that you have an extra 10 to 15% of interest or of yield that you now can split between yourself and your LPs. That is a much more profitable business model for a property owner, and this is why they're enjoying the fact that we're bringing this opportunity to them both in the United States and hopefully here in Nigeria.
All right, Chief, can you take just 1 more minute, please, to round it off? Just a minute to round off. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Round it up?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, this is our website for Nigeria. I'm going to invite you to come and take a look at the website. It's now live, www.RedSwanCRE.com.ng. Next slide. These are the properties we have, so you can go look at the property, you can drill down, you can see your analysis of each asset so you can make an informed decision to buy. Next slide. And just there's a compelling thesis with regard to cryptocurrency, and I'm going to go through really quickly. Next slide. Cryptocurrency is growing in the marketplace. You can see the leading countries that are using cryptocurrency around the world. You see Nigeria is in the top 10, actually number 6, Vietnam number 1. This is so new that the youth is consuming a lot of crypto, and this is a good thing because that means you know how to manage digital currency and digital assets. Next slide. You have to figure out where you're going to invest that money that you have because you can't keep it all in cryptocurrency. Otherwise, it'll be very volatile, and you will not have a way to run a business when you have volatile currency. So being able to balance your investment out into other asset classes like commercial real estate or digital assets or NFTs, these are the reason why we're here. Right now, cryptocurrency is $3 trillion globally. It will become $15 trillion before you blink your eye. Next slide. Digital assets, which is commercial real estate, provides you with stability, income producing in terms of dividends, as well as long-term growth. So we think that all of you who are using cryptocurrency right now and will continue to grow with cryptocurrency will start thinking about putting some of your money, digital money, into real estate to stabilize your overall portfolio. that's what it's all about, and that's one of the reasons why we're here. Also, one of the reasons why it's growing so fast in the United States. Next slide. We came up with a cryptocurrency coin, which is a stable coin that will allow us to be able to receive funds from all over the world in terms of different cryptocurrencies to have our own coin that we can use to buy real estate off our platform. So this is going to be coming out the first quarter of next year, but it's a way for the e-Naira to be easily transferred to our RedSwanCRE coin so that you can easily have that to buy real estate. But there's also a second purpose to the coin. I'll show you on the next slide. A little bit of math. This is a capital stack of commercial real estate. It just shows you how that's set up. But we use our stable settlement coin to be able to capitalize another part of the capital stack, which is mezz debt. And in the United States, at least, mezz debt is the most expensive form of capital next to the equity itself. And by financing mezz debt with a flat fee of 3%, we're now saving investors or property owners sometimes 8 to 10% of interest by having this type of mezz debt coin that we're producing. So maybe it's something that can be done here in Nigeria as well. Next slide. That's a picture of the website for our stable coin that's coming out. It's actually a settlement coin used for transacting commercial real estate that's been digitized. Next slide. Upcoming projects. Let's flip through those pretty quickly. I know we have to go, but we have a pipeline of $750 million of projects we're working on right now to add to our pipeline. Next slide. This is basically a high-rise in Houston, Texas. The developer develops billions of dollars worth of properties. Sometimes they have problems selling their properties at today's value, and they need another way to recapitalize, pulling their money out. So this is the reason why they're coming to Red Swan. Next slide. Same thing in San Francisco. COVID has caused some stabilization problems, so people are looking to how they can pull capital out of their assets, so they're calling us, see if we can do that for them. Final slide. This is the new development project in San Diego, in the downtown district of San Diego. So we do new development projects as well, but the requirements are you have to own the land and also have to have bank financing in place for the construction, and we'll help you with the equity. So anyway, we think this is an educational opportunity. We're here to educate, provide literacy on financial awareness with regards to cryptocurrency and digital assets. We will be doing classes trying to teach strategies on investments. We think that's important for the youth to be able to take advantage, become financially independent. I'm committed to seeing that because I like to see this country become one of the superpowers of the world one day. Thank you very much. Please come by and see us at our booth.
Thank you very much. Please just hold on a bit. I like that you rounded off with please come by and see us. It tells that you really are an able man anyway. You couldn't have allowed that to pass by. I have two questions for you from the audience. One is, can we access real estate in the USA through Red Swan?
Yes, exactly. That's right. For our website, we're creating for you right now, and not only have a platform to see, hopefully, Nigerian projects that are being tokenized, but you also can see all the U.S. assets that we're tokenizing right now. There's only two countries that we're focused on, the United States and now Nigeria. So yes, you'll be able to see opportunities. I had some of my investors telling me, hey, I'd like to tell me I can buy into a high-rise in Lagos, Nigeria. I'd love that. And so that was kind of the idea, is to let some of the investors there see the beautiful opportunities that are here and be able to join in on the investment, but not have to take all the risk, right? Not have to write a check for $15 million. They can write a check for $100,000 and feel like they've done something to buy a piece, at least test it out, see how well it works. That's a starting point. It's a big starting point for foreign direct investment.
All right, thank you. Second question, isn't it risky to rely on Dogecoin for Red Swan commercial real estate?
No, it's not risky at all. We don't, we take the Dogecoin and immediately convert it into USDC. So we're not taking any risk on holding the Dogecoin. It was just basically a test to see how well the cryptocurrency market will respond to be able to take its cryptocurrency form and transfer it into a more digital asset.
All right, thank you very much. I would take just one more question if there's any. The man in the middle, the man just directly behind the cameraman. I have all the microphones up here already because I wanted to use them here. I don't know if you can oblige us by coming forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, all. Thank you for your presentation. I'm privileged to be involved in real estate. I can see your take to be an advanced level of traditional way, which was real estate investment focused, where the value of real estate is broken down into smaller units that people can invest in. But it was determined by valuers to know the extent of the value before it was broken down. And there was appointed managers that manage the investment. At the end of each year, profit made will not be broken down and given to investors as dividends. In this case, is your company a manager of commercial real estate? How do you determine the value of the estate before you tokenize? And how do you determine the profit before you share to investors? Are all these things embedded in the digital economy, or I want you to explain it again. Thank you very much.
Yes, so you're asking the properties that we put on there, who values those properties, right? And that's a very good question because we don't put a property on our platform until we have thoroughly vetted the property. And with 17 years of experience as a director of capital markets, we know how to value commercial real estate from an income approach, from a cost approach, from a market approach. And so we would go over the books and records of every property very thoroughly. We would look at the management of the project also to check on their experience. And then we would put a value on the asset that we know we can sell that asset for. And we have a lot of experience in selling assets. But on the other hand, to answer your question, how do you maintain the level of income from the property in order to disperse that income, net income to investors? One of the requirements that we have for our sponsors is that when they give us a property and we digitize it and we issue the capital, every quarter they have to give us a financial statement on that property so we can analyze it, and then like an analyst, update it to our investors so they know what the current condition of the asset is. We think that's important to keep you informed of the profitability and the performance of the property. And we're going to take it even a step further. This is now using blockchain and using AI is what we're working on, because we think that now that commercial real estate is liquid, it needs to be traded, and trading has to take place with current information, not previous information. So you can't look back 3 months ago to figure out what the price was when you're trying to make a settlement trade right now on your shares. So we're working with groups that are assembling lots of information in terms of AI, but also financial data, market data, so we can give you a precise valuation of the asset today and also next week based on many parameters that we use in underwriting. So that's to come, but many companies are working on that solution right now to make the trading of digital securities much more reliable.
Thank you very much, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you very much.